is that I'm quite likely to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
You know, there's a short life in
Why do you think that is with the creative side?
Well, because losing out money, you got to take. You're going through so much to try and deal with life.
Let's get into it. Buckle up, because this isn't just your average Hollywood scandal. This is a rabbit hole so deep, you'll wonder if there's ever been a bottom. When Katt Williams speaks, people listen. Not just because he's hilarious, but because his words are laced with a sharpness that cuts through the glittery haze of fame. And recently, he's been talking about Diddy, about power games, about the underbelly of an industry that thrives on control, secrecy, and silence.
All lies will be exposed, that's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
Katt isn't just dropping breadcrumbs. He's tossing entire loaves of truth out there for anyone willing to pick them up. And what he's saying? It's painting a picture of a music mogul whose influence stretches far beyond business deals or chart-topping hits. No, this is about manipulation, coercion, and a type of power wielded so casually, it makes you question everything you thought you knew about the industry. Let's start with Katt's claims about Diddy's infamous parties. These weren't your run-of-the-mill celebrity soirees. According to Katt, these gatherings were something entirely different, events where the boundaries of what was acceptable blurred into something unrecognizable. Katt himself admitted to turning down major opportunities, even walking away from staggering amounts of money just to avoid getting caught up in the chaos. He was hinting at an atmosphere so unsettling, so downright sinister, that he had to draw a hard line. I had to protect my integrity, he said. Integrity. That's not a word you throw around lightly in a world where everyone's hustling for the next headline, the next dollar, the next deal.
Card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying.
But it's not just Katt's words that are raising eyebrows. The stories coming out of Diddy's circle are enough to make anyone's head spin. Take YK Osiris, for example. A young, rising star with all the potential in the world. He suddenly found himself at the center of rumors so wild, they sound like they were ripped straight out of a tawdry novel. A trip to Jamaica, a series of cryptic Instagram posts, and whispers of a special bond with Diddy, it all started to add up in ways that made fans and insiders alike wonder what was really going on. And when YK's baby mama came forward with jaw-dropping accusations, the narrative took an even darker turn. YK, for his part, laughed off the rumors in public, but his demeanor, nervous giggles, blushing, avoiding direct answers, only fueled the speculation. And then there's the fallout. YK, once a promising talent, started spiraling publicly. He talked about feeling used, trapped in an industry that didn't align with his values. He wanted out, he said, not just out of his label, but out of the entire game. This is not what God wants for me, he confessed in a tearful Instagram live session, his voice breaking under the weight of his words. Was this the price of fame? If so, it seemed unbearably steep.
Moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing.
But the whispers don't stop with YK. Oh no, this goes much deeper. Enter Burna Boy, a global superstar whose collaboration with Diddy raised more than a few eyebrows. On the surface, it looked like a smart business move. Diddy lending his expertise to help Burna's album connect with audiences worldwide. But behind the scenes, people started asking questions. What did Burna really gain from the partnership? And what did he lose? The timing of their collaboration, coupled with Diddy's growing reputation for behind-the-scenes power plays, left many wondering if Burna's name on Katt Williams' list of controlled celebs wasn't just a coincidence. And speaking of that list, let's not forget Meek Mill. His name has been in the mix for years, but the chatter really ramped up when he started appearing everywhere with Diddy. Matching outfits, countless photos together, and a level of closeness that seemed peculiar. Even 50 Cent, never one to hold back his thoughts, couldn't resist throwing shade, calling out Meek's relationship with Diddy as more than just a business connection. The rumors only intensified when a former bodyguard leaked audio that allegedly captured Diddy and Meek in a compromising situation at one of those infamous parties. And as if that wasn't enough, the same bodyguard claimed that drinks at these events were deliberately spiked, leaving attendees vulnerable and unaware of what was happening around them. If true, that's not just scandalous, it's horrifying.
That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, pause, but like, check this out.
But here's the kicker. Katt Williams isn't the only one speaking out. Terrence Howard recently shared his own bizarre encounter with Diddy, an experience he described as deeply unsettling. According to Howard, Diddy invited him over under the pretense of acting lessons. What followed was an evening filled with uncomfortable stares and behavior so strange, Howard had to confide in his assistant, who bluntly suggested that Diddy's intentions weren't professional at all. Howard, like so many others, made it clear that he wasn't willing to compromise his values or his man card, as he put it, for anything or anyone, not even Diddy.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the
Hell
consequences
yeah.
when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me.
And then there's Orlando Brown, a man whose erratic behavior has often overshadowed his words. But when you really listen to what he's been saying about Hollywood's dark side, it's hard to dismiss him entirely. He's been naming names, painting a picture of an industry that preys on vulnerability and thrives on secrecy. And guess whose name keeps coming up? Diddy's, Brown's, claims align eerily well with those of Katt, Terrence, and countless others. Are they all lying, or is there something far more sinister at play? The deeper you dig, the more unsettling the connections become. Katt Williams' warnings about Diddy's control over certain celebrities aren't just baseless accusations. They're part of a larger pattern that's impossible to ignore. The stories of coercion, manipulation, and exploitation paint a picture of a man who isn't afraid to use his power to get what he wants, no matter the cost to those around him. And as more people come forward, the cracks in Diddy's carefully constructed image are starting to show. What lies beneath the surface? If Katt Williams is to be believed, it's a world far darker than anyone could have imagined.
Look at Diddy, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look at him. Let's take a look at, he has videos. He has videos of the parties. Now, what I've heard, which I don't know how much of it is in mainstream media, I don't really follow the story that much, but what I've heard from friends that are attorneys, friends of mine that have represented me before, agents and so on, is there's a bidding war going on right now.
And here's where things start to unravel even further, pulling back the curtain on the kind of power most people can't even fathom. Because if you thought this was just about a few questionable parties or suspicious friendships, think again. The allegations against Diddy don't just stop at controlling young stars like YK Osiris or getting too close to Meek Mill. No, this is bigger. We're talking about a network of influence that stretches across industries, continents, and decades, with whispers of manipulation and intimidation that go way beyond what's been reported. Let's talk about the tapes. Yes, the tapes. The infamous recordings allegedly made at Diddy's private gatherings, where cameras were said to be rolling at all times. According to insiders, these weren't just candid moments or casual behind-the-scenes footage. These were carefully orchestrated recordings allegedly used as leverage. One former staffer, who spoke anonymously, claimed that everyone who attended these events knew the unspoken rule. What happened there didn't stay there. It was documented, and those tapes, they weren't just gathering dust in some forgotten archive. They were weapons, ready to be used against anyone who dared to step out of line. Think about it, a sprawling collection of footage showing the most powerful people in entertainment letting their guard down, perhaps doing things they'd rather the world never know about. It's the stuff of nightmares for anyone who values their reputation.
To not be involved with a famous singer, to not come out, here's the price. And that they're just selling to the individuals that are in those, this is what I heard, they're selling those videos. So if you're Tommy X, and Tommy X is a big movie star, and he was at some of the Diddy parties, he was in one of those bedrooms with 3 other men, and he's happily married to a woman, and blah. Tommy doesn't want that video to come out.
But here's where it gets even murkier. Rumor has it that these tapes didn't just capture the stars behaving badly. Some allege that they were used as a form of control. One source claimed to have seen snippets of footage that were so shocking they could ruin careers in an instant. The same source hinted that several high-profile celebrities had quietly paid large sums of money, cash that would never be traced, to keep their names out of the headlines. And if that's true, it raises an even darker question. Just how many people in Hollywood are under Diddy's thumb? How many secrets is he sitting on, ready to use if things don't go his way? But let's take a step back and ask, how did these tapes even come to exist? According to someone who worked closely with Diddy's production team, there was always a strange obsession with documenting everything. This wasn't just about keeping records for fun or looking back on good times. No, this was methodical. Cameras were allegedly installed in places no one would think to check, and they weren't just rolling during the parties. They captured private conversations, hushed arguments, and moments that should have stayed behind closed doors. The source described it as an insurance policy, a way to ensure that anyone who got too bold or too defiant could be reminded exactly who held the upper hand.
I'll tell you, I don't know how much, I don't like to say things that I know unless I see it. There's a little difference, but was it discussed? Was there descriptions from people I know that were at those? Yes, but here's another thing. So how many of these big entertainment parties and over the years and everything with as successful as you are, have you been around? Does anyone ever come up to you at a certain hour and say, okay, it's time to go? At those parties, they did.
And if you think this kind of surveillance was limited to the parties, you'd be mistaken. Another insider claimed that even business meetings weren't safe from the all-seeing eye of Diddy's crew. Hidden microphones, discreetly placed cameras, these weren't conspiracy theories, they were allegedly part of the infrastructure. The chilling part? Some of the people recorded didn't even know they were being watched. The recordings didn't just capture moments of weakness or indiscretion. They captured leverage. And in the entertainment industry, leverage is everything. One wrong move, one leaked clip, and entire careers could go up in flames. What's even more disturbing is a suggestion that some of these tapes didn't stay under one roof. A former associate hinted that copies were made and shared with a select few, creating a kind of shadow network of blackmail material. This wasn't just about protecting Diddy's interests, it was about creating a web of mutual silence. If everyone has dirt on everyone else, who's going to be the first to speak up? The associate compared it to a game of chess, with Diddy always staying one step ahead, making sure no one could make a move against him without risking their own downfall.
I don't know this, but it just seems very suspicious when you go through and you look at in the history of different people that can make you go away if listen, I've worried about some of the things that I talk about on my show.
And here's the kicker, the existence of these tapes isn't just a theory anymore. Court documents from ongoing lawsuits have named specific instances where footage was allegedly used to intimidate or silence individuals. Lawyers representing some of the plaintiffs have even hinted that they've seen glimpses of this material during discovery. While none of it has been made public, yet the very idea that such evidence might exist has sent shockwaves through Hollywood. People who once felt untouchable are now scrambling to reassess their alliances, wondering if they too were caught on camera. The paranoia around these tapes reached fever pitch when Daniel Baldwin, yes, the actor and brother of Alec Baldwin, claimed there was a bidding war happening behind the scenes. According to Baldwin, major players in the industry were scrambling to get their hands on this material or to make sure it never saw the light of day. They're selling those videos, Baldwin alleged, suggesting that the price to keep someone's name out of the mix wasn't just high, it was astronomical. And let's be clear, Baldwin isn't exactly part of Diddy's inner circle, so why would he even speak on this unless there was something he knew? Something so big, it couldn't be ignored.
Well, but the truth is, in 20 years, I've never been on a commercial audition in my life. Like, I never let my tour get sponsored when I was broke.
And then there's the legal fallout. Diddy's empire has been hit with a tidal wave of lawsuits, each more explosive than the last. From accusations of coercion to claims of orchestrating elaborate setups, the cases against him paint a picture of someone who didn't just thrive in the chaos, he created it. One of the most damning allegations comes from a former employee who described working for Diddy as living in a pressure cooker. This person claimed that staff were often forced to stay silent, even when they witnessed things that made them deeply uncomfortable. And if anyone dared to speak out, well, let's just say their careers didn't last long after that. But it's not just lawsuits or secret tapes that have people talking. The real bombshells are coming from those who once worked closest to Diddy. Take Gene Deal, his former bodyguard, who has been dropping cryptic hints for years. Deal has claimed that he saw things during his time with Diddy that he can't unsee, things that made him question his own role in the machine. And while he hasn't spilled all the details, his recent interviews suggest that he's holding back for a reason. Maybe because he knows just how dangerous it could be to tell the whole truth.
I can't win over there because I don't play. I don't participate. Like, you can't buy me, not because I'm not for sale. You can't buy me because I'm not in the store. It's different.
And then there's the story of Kim Porter, Diddy's longtime partner and mother of his children, whose name keeps resurfacing in the most unsettling ways. Before her passing, Porter was reportedly working on a memoir, a tell-all that some insiders believe could have blown the lid off everything. Allegedly, she kept a diary detailing her life with Diddy, including stories that, if true, could shake the foundations of his empire. But here's the twist. According to some sources, that diary vanished under mysterious circumstances, along with several other personal items. And while no one has publicly connected the dots, the timing of her passing and the disappearance of her alleged memoir has left many wondering, was it just a coincidence or something more sinister? Adding to the intrigue, one of Porter's friends reportedly came forward with claims that she had seen portions of this alleged memoir before it disappeared. According to her, the pages didn't just spill secrets about Diddy's personal life. They exposed a pattern of behavior that extended far beyond their relationship. The friend described the writing as raw and fearless, detailing moments Porter had kept silent about for years. She allegedly wrote about the cost of loyalty and hinted at being privy to decisions that affected not just her family, but the careers and lives of others in Diddy's orbit. If even half of what's described is true, it's no wonder those pages seem to vanish without a trace.
If there's brilliance in that, then I'm appreciative to that, and I'm trying to be a brilliant person, not a brilliant.
Even those outside the entertainment world are starting to connect the dots. High-profile figures like 50 Cent and Katt Williams have been vocal about their suspicions, and their voices are only growing louder. 50 Cent in particular has been relentless in calling out what he sees as a pattern of manipulation and exploitation. And while some dismiss his commentary as just another celebrity feud, others are starting to see it for what it might really be, a warning. And let's not forget the chilling claims made by Orlando Brown. Sure, he's been painted as unstable by the media, but when you really listen to what he's saying, it's hard to ignore the consistency in his allegations. Brown has repeatedly described a hidden side of Hollywood that most people can't even imagine, a world where power is wielded like a weapon and where the cost of entry is far higher than anyone realizes. And the fact that his stories align with those of Katt Williams and others, that's not something you can easily dismiss.
I've lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that because the man card means everything.
So where does this all lead? That's the question, isn't it? Because if even half of these allegations are true, we're looking at a scandal that could redefine the entertainment industry as we know it. This isn't just about Diddy. It's about a system that allowed someone like him to rise unchecked, a system that prioritized silence and complicity over accountability. And as more voices come forward, it's becoming increasingly clear that this story is far from over. But what do you think? Are these just wild claims? Or is there something much darker lurking beneath the surface? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's get into it. Because trust us, this is one story you don't want to miss. See you in the next one.